The mystery of a speeding car.
It's the London Motor Show again. Thrills and frivolity in equal measure. Gorgeous classics, motorbikes, people with beards, anoraks, racing cars. And then there's all those accessories. Anoraks, books, posters, stickers, more anoraks. But of course, you don't come to motor shows to see stuff like that. You come to see cars like this. The Ferrari F50, the nearest thing yet to a Formula One car on the road. If you peel away the Pininfarina body, not one of their better efforts, underneath you'll find the same engine that powered Nigel Mansell's Grand Prix car in 1993. It has a Grand Prix price tag too, £350,000. Oh, don't worry about it. They've only brought 25 into Britain, and they've all been sold already.
Every couple of years, someone comes along and claims to have reinvented the Lotus Super 7, the original back-to-basic roadster from the mid-60s. But when you think about it, if anyone was going to reinvent the 7, then it ought to be Lotus themselves. And 30 years on, that's exactly what they've done. They call it the Elise. A lot of people have waited a long time for this car. The 80s Elan was never the sales success that Lotus hoped for. Perhaps it was too refined. The Elise is much more in the tradition of the cars that Colin Chapman created. It's very light, it's very fast, but it's also very basic. It's available from the summer and it will cost, can you believe, under £20,000.
The Elise is special for Lotus and for our customers. It's back to our heartland of classic cars, great Lotus driving characteristics. It embodies all sorts of great classic themes, bit of GT40, bit of XJ13. You get a roof with it, but unfortunately the boot's an optional extra.
Despite the rumours, it's evident that Lotus are alive and kicking. Proof of the amazing survival instincts of the British car industry. As long as the money comes from abroad.
Everybody knows that BMW owns Rover, but it really is beginning to show. This is their new 200 model. And not only are Rover getting better at building cars, they're getting better at launching them too. They pulled a flanker on everybody else and made a surprise announcement and launched the 200 here today. So nobody's driven it and nobody's seen it yet. Prices haven't been set exactly, but they say it's going to start at £10,000, rising to 15. There's a range of 6 engines from 1.4 to 2 litre, and there's even a 2 litre VI which can do 127 miles an hour. I reckon this one's going to sell big time. One model up is the 400, but it's only been around in hatchback guise so far and hasn't been the success Rover had hoped. So to broaden its appeal, they've grafted on a boot, and a very happy job they've done of it as well. They're wooing the company car buyer on this one, but it's becoming an increasingly difficult market to crack, especially with competition like Peugeot's new 406. Chris Goffey weighs it up.
First impressions of a new car like this Peugeot 406 tend to be subjective. You go by your initial seat-of-the-pants feelings about it, and to some extent, your experience of its predecessors. Now, I have to admit to a soft spot for big Peugeots.
I used to own a ratty old 504 Estate years ago, and as the Irish would say, you couldn't kill it with a stick.
Peugeot had a history of making really tough cars. The 403 and the 404 were legendary in East Africa for keeping going, where everything else either disintegrated on the corrugated dirt roads or sank in the mud. That reputation for toughness and durability has been passed on down the Peugeot generations, and it's always been an important selling point on the home market.
In France, as in the rest of Europe, there's very few company cars. People buy cars individually. Now, Peugeot has always appealed to the solid, respectable, middle-class French. And this car is aimed fair and square at that core market. In Britain, of course, things are very different. 25% of all our sales come from cars of this size, and the vast majority are bought by companies. So the 406 is up against fierce competition from cars like Mondeo, Vectra, Primera and Laguna. The list seems endless. If there are any truly private buyers left out there, they tend to go for things like the new Honda Accord Rover 600 clones. And in that company, the 406 acquits itself well. The 405 had a good reputation for handling and agility like its little 205 brother. You really could hurl it around to your heart's content. This feels a much bigger car somehow. They seem to have gone for smoothness and comfort rather than the ultimate in tyre-wrenching adhesion. On these Provence mountain roads, it just ploughs determinedly ahead with understeer. There's never a hint of the rear wheels breaking away.
Like the 405, this car is a three-box saloon. Peugeot has stuck doggedly to a separate boot, ignored the hatchback in this size of car, and have told their customers in the past that if they want a tailgate, they should buy an estate. It's a pleasing enough shape, but like so many new cars, the company proudly shows you the design sketches they went through, and always seem a lot more sexy than the real metal.
Non, rien de rien.
For this car, Peugeot parted company with good old Pininfarina. They went for their own in-house designers who are fiercely proud of this baby and triumphant that the Italian maestro's designs were turned down in favour of their own. However, there's still a lot of traditional Peugeot lines. It's not a lot bigger than its competitors, but it certainly looks bigger, a more imposing car on the road than, say, a Mondeo.
It's certainly a lot better trimmed than previous Peugeots. The contrast between the cream and black with the wood trim is very effective, but it's all rather old-fashioned, conservative with a small C.
That coded immobiliser must be reset every time you switch on. The radio's built into the dashboard so it can't be nicked, and it's controlled with a steering column lever. And this model comes with automatic air conditioning. Although it's at the show, it won't be on sale in British dealers until early next year. Final specifications and trim levels haven't yet been decided, but it'll come with a choice of 4 engines, a 1.8 or 2-litre petrol and a 1.9 or a 2.1-litre turbocharged diesel. Don't let's forget, Peugeot's traditional cars left the company on the edge of bankruptcy. Their bacon was saved by the youthful appeal of the 205, light, agile and fast. You can't help wondering if that lesson's been forgotten by the 406 design team.
Renault seems to have got it right with the Megane, though. When it goes on sale next spring, it'll go head-to-head with the Escort and the Astra and the Golf. And my money is on this. On the one hand, it's a well-laid-out, practical, spacious, 5-door family hatchback. Engines go from 1.4 litres to 2 litres. And then there's pricing. They haven't said what it'll be yet, but Renault does have a habit of undercutting the competition. All straightforward so far then, but in the fullness of time, this 5-door hatchback will be joined by a 4-door saloon, a convertible, a monospace people carrier, and this, a 2-door coupe. This is one of the most delightfully styled mainstream cars I've seen in years. Renault has obviously realised that all cars these days are cheap and sensible and reliable, and that the only way forward is to concentrate on good design. They're going to stop wooing the world and start wowing it.
Fiat have gone all funky with the Barchetta and Coupe. High profile but low volume. But man does not live by niche alone. Fortunately, like Renault, they've managed to invest some of the same brio in their rather more sensible 5-seater hatchbacks, the Brava and Bravo, which they're hoping to sell in big numbers. First, how to tell a Bravo from a Brava? The Bravo is the 3-door, the Brava the 5-door. There are 3 engine sizes, 1.4, 1.6 and 1.8. Both cars are much quicker and twice as rigid as the old unloved blancmange that was the Tipo. Expect to pay under 10 grand for a well-equipped 1.4 with an airbag and a truly funky stereo. Both cars go on sale later this year. Top Gear has driven them, and well, we reckon they're an absolute hoot. So watch out for a full road test coming up soon.
Even the Koreans are making an effort in design. The new Hyundai Elantra is, if anything, rather too well endowed with curves and ovals. But elsewhere, designers have adopted a more conservative approach. The new Nissan Almera, the Sunny's replacement, wants to look exciting, but doesn't. Honda's new Civics are more trad than the old models they replace. They hardly look full of sound and fury. Likewise, the Mitsubishi Charisma. But what's interesting about the Charisma is that it's another joint project between the Europeans and the Japanese. This time it shares its underpinnings with a new Volvo, the S4.
Volvo's on a roll right now. They've had some success in the Touring Car Championship. There's those incredible adverts, and then there's the engine from the astonishing T5. However, they did have a problem with this, the new S4, a range of motor cars that goes from £13,000 to £17,000 and will one day replace that pensioner's special, the 400. You see, with the new racy image, they couldn't simply produce another Volvo Etch-a-Sketch design. And that was made doubly hard, of course, because its sister car is that dull Mitsubishi. I have to say, they've been quite successful. It's no Audi A4, but it's not bad.
Well, thank you very much. But, you know, even in this traditional side of the market, we don't believe there's any reason to hold back with the design. We think there are plenty of people out there who would like all those traditional Volvo values, but wrapped in something very new, and they're expecting it.
Yes, but never mind all that. This is the best car on the Volvo stand. Might well be one of the best cars at the show. It's the 850R, which, put simply, is a Volvo that does 160 miles an hour. Thank you very much.
McLaren's F1 supercar, with its £640,000 price tag, has been around for about 3 years now. It's had a very successful year on the track in the GT Championships, plus an all-important win at Le Mans. Now, as part of Top Gear's motor show competition, we're offering you and a partner the chance for a ride in that race-winning car. It's the highlight of an action-packed day at the Donington Circuit in Leicestershire, planned for Wednesday, October the 25th. 3 high-speed laps in the Gulf McLaren F1 GTR, sitting alongside 5-time GT race winner Ray Bellum. You'll also receive instruction from the Jim Russell Racing School and get the chance to drive in karts, single-seater racing cars and saloons. But just one word of warning. These are competition cars, so if you're built like Jeremy Clarkson or Bernard Manning, you might not fit. All you have to do is answer this simple question. What's the official top speed of the McLaren road car? Is it A, 212 miles an hour, B, 231 miles an hour, or C, 257 miles an hour? Call us with your answer on 0891 11 4488. The first correct answer out of the hat wins that McLaren drive. And for the runners-up, there are 2 pairs of tickets to the London Motor Show with overnight accommodation. And we'll be giving you that number again at the end of the programme.
Everyone has heard of McLaren these days, but if you cruise the show, you'll find it's littered with unknown would-be supercar makers. Take Ascari, for example. Now, they've been competing on the tracks for the last year with some success. They've had a win and a couple of second places, but now they've converted their racer into a road car. And here it is. It has a plastic body, sophisticated chassis, an American Ford V8 engine, top speed of about 180 miles an hour. The price is $65,000, so it seems they've thought of everything. However, it's very difficult to establish yourself as a new car maker. No one's going to win the lottery and say, at last, I can have an Ascari. One way round the problem is to make your car a replica of an existing all-time great. Now, there's one such car at the show, which we asked Tiff to test. But, I don't know, he was strangely reluctant.
It has to be said that I'm not a great fan of replicas. There seem to be dozens of C-types, D-types, GT40s, AC Cobras, replicas of replicas, etc., etc., some more like the real thing than others. Yet together, they seem to tarnish the reputation of the genuine article. Well, today I've been told to dress up smart and await a replica that does the original proud.
What am I sitting in?
You're sitting in an Apennine, which is a replica of the Alfa Romeo 29B that won the Mille Miglia App in 1938.
Why do you want to build a car like this?
But look at it, it's beautiful, it's magnificent, it's wonderful. It's a fighter plane on wheels.
So how much of this is an original car?
Well, all the running gear is modern Alfa Romeo. The engine we've had made by Westlake Engineering. It's a straight 8, 4-litre, from 2 4-cylinder Alfa Romeo engines. The bodywork we've had specially made as a copy of the original, and the chassis has been made to take all the running gear.
It's very nice, but it is a bit windy. I think you get flies in your mouth.
Yeah, but that's only when you laugh.
It's certainly lovely when it stops. Now look, we don't open bonnets anymore on Top Gear, but you mentioned this is 2 engines joined together?
That's right. The original was 2 4-cylinder engines, and Alfa Romeo cast up a block to make a straight 8. What we've done is taken 2 Alfetta engines and weld them together.
Sounds easy. I'm sure it's not. Anyway, this seat's not that comfortable. Do you think I could try yours?
Be my guest.
Thank you. Now that feels a bit more like it.
Now the amazing thing is, the Mille Miglia was a 1,000-mile non-stop race on the roads of Italy. Driving this, now they must have been real heroes. Now the one good thing about replicas is at least you've got a modern gearbox and synchromesh, and instead of the original drum brakes, I've got disc brakes, so at least I know it's going to stop.
Well, I suppose I'm beginning to see the appeal of replicas, especially when there is something as rare and beautiful as the Alfa Romeo 29B. It's just a shame I haven't got the 95,000 needed to buy one.
Do you know what the best-selling people carrier in the world is? Well, it's not the Renault Espace. Last year, the 5 millionth Chrysler Voyager was sold. In America, they're as familiar as peanut butter. And the good news is we'll be getting them here in autumn 1996. And being American, rest assured, they'll have big, lumpy engines, lots and lots of standard spec, long warranties, and the price won't hurt either. Also sensibly priced to get away is the Neon, an Escort competitor with almost as much room inside as a Mondeo. The Neon is a 4-door saloon with just one engine option, the 2-litre, but all models come with standard power steering and dual airbags. Not bad from between 10 and 13 grand. In fact, Chrysler look like a force to be reckoned with. This is their new Jeep Grand Cherokee, which will be available in this country in right-hand drive form from February. You might be interested to know that in the last 3 years in America, they've sold 650,000 of these. It's taken Range Rover 25 years to sell half as many. And the previous model, the smaller Jeep Cherokee, has been so popular in this country that second-hand they fetch almost as much as they cost new.
That's a Mercedes trick, and they've got their new E-Class here, which I'll be testing in a couple of weeks. Then there's the new Alfa Spider, an exceptionally fine motoring machine. There are loads of estates here too. Citroën has tacked a back onto the Xantia to create a shooting brake version. And there's a new Renault Laguna estate. It would have been nice though if they'd let the man designing the rear end see which car it was going to be attached to. Same problem at Skoda. If their push-up market is going to be successful, they're going to need better designs than this. The Vauxhall Vectra estate is here too, but it's not due on the market until next year. One car that isn't here is the new BMW 5 Series. They've got the old models on the stand, but we've seen them before. In every golf club car park in the land.
Don't come here expecting to see a whole load of snazzy concept cars from European manufacturers, because there are the biggest and most important motor show in the world, Tokyo. There are some concept cars here though, and where do you suppose they're from? That's right, they're from the Far East, like the Daewoo Crane. It's not just another rebodied Vauxhall, it's a rebodied Honda, the Legend. It has a 3.2-litre V6 engine, 240 brake horsepower, 150 miles an hour. It wasn't styled in Korea though, it was styled in Italy by Giugiaro of Ital Design. Are we likely to see it in production? No, but I love that interior. Genuine iguana, they tell me. If you're already the proud owner of a Volkswagen Sharon, then can I also suggest the Kia Kev? It has no less than two engines, one a conventional petrol unit of 880 cc's, the other an electric motor with a range of 117 miles and a top speed of 112 miles per hour. Kia claim that this is the car for the commuter of the future who demands freedom and flexibility. If you just can't decide between a saloon, a four-wheel drive or an MPV, then how about one of these, which the manufacturers claim incorporates all of the best qualities of all three. Just the job for dropping the kids off at school, picking up the weekly shopping or taking granny to the chiropodists at 150 miles an hour. This is the Subaru Striga, a 250 horsepower four-wheel drive sport utility. Kind of boxy, isn't it? But it's the perfect embodiment of what a concept car should be. First, because it's got a very silly name, and second, because it's very green. You see, concept cars are the most environmentally friendly vehicles on the planet, because the only place they ever go is round and round and round. But that's not much good in the real world.
Think how peaceful life would be if your village looked like this, free from the urban litter we call cars. Yeah, well, it doesn't. It doesn't matter how many people dye their hair green or live in trees, cars are part and parcel of latter-day 20th century living. Trouble is, look at the sort of cars we're driving. They're too big. They're too unkind on the environment. They're too expensive. If this argument strikes a chord, you want a car, but you don't want to be wasteful, I think I have an answer. This is the new Ford Fiesta, which in gear trim has a little bit of something for everyone. For a kick-off, it's small, so it doesn't take up any more space on the road than is really necessary. Obviously, you can't stage running races in the back, but that's not the end of the world. Think about it. Most of us don't really need a car that's bigger than this. But hold on a minute, you're saying. I am the chairman of ICI. I like my luxuries. I like my toys. What, you mean like wooden dashboard, leather steering wheel, twin airbags, traction control, anti-lock brakes, electric windows, electric mirrors, sunshine roof, air conditioning, stereo with CD auto changer, heated front windscreen, that sort of thing? Well, I've got them all in here. But what if you're a young blade? You want your car to be fun. To be a bit mean. Well, that's where the old Fiesta tripped up and fell flat on its face. But this one has a brand new 16-valve 1250cc engine that's been designed jointly with Yamaha. I have to say, this is the first Ford I've driven for a very, very long time that doesn't sound like a cement mixer. Later on, there'll be a 1.4-litre version of this engine, but for now, this is your lot. 0 to 60 is dealt with in 12 seconds. And if you're the sort of person who stands around in pubs boasting about top speeds, it does 106 miles an hour. It's also far, far nicer to drive than the old Fiesta. Not only is it more fun through the bends, but also it's quieter and more refined too. This is very good. So it's fast enough to be a licence loser, more luxurious than a liner, and small enough to keep Greenpeace happy. Good thing too, they'd never get their dinghies alongside on the A40. And there's more. Every grease monkey in the land knows how to fix a Fiesta. It may not be as reliable as a VW or a Toyota, but when it does go wrong, it's cheap and easy to mend. It's also cheap and easy to run. I've been averaging 36 miles to the gallon. And being a Fiesta, you don't need to drive around with a Lloyd's underwriter in the boot. And then there's the most important issue of all, price. The standard gear is £10,500. Add all the fruits like leather seats and air conditioning and that CD player, and you can get it up to £12,000. Now that is a lot for a Fiesta, but think of it as a little Jaguar, and it's pretty good value. Of course, there are cheaper models, much cheaper models. They don't have the wood, they don't have the toys, but they're cheerful and they're the first Fiestas ever, which are really good fun to drive. In fact, the only downside of the entire range has to be the new Ford Corporate Nostril.
The Motor Show is open until the 29th, and there's even a Classic Car Day on the 24th and a Motorsport Day on the 26th. But we can't leave here without one last lingering look at the Porsche 911. They've got two models this year. This is the S4, which has 285 brake horsepower, four-wheel drive, turbo body and turbo brakes. Yours for just £74,000. This is the new Targa, £65,000 worth with its state-of-the-art electric roof, which is great because unlike other convertibles, which when it rains you have to stop by the roadside and put your hood up, this you can close at any speed. But a word of warning, do it much over 130 miles an hour and your ears go pop. Well, we're going to go pop now. That's your lot. It's all over. Goodbye.
Next week, Chris Goffey plays soldiers when he goes to the Army Driving School. I drive a Ford, which just happens to be the fastest car in the world. But before then, if you want more Motor Show, we've a mammoth, blockbusting 55 minutes from Earl's Court on Sunday at 2 in the afternoon on BBC One. My, aren't we honoured?
And the 1995-96 Top Gear Good Car Guide is available now from bookshops, a unique guide for new and used car buyers.
High-octane motorsport action from around the globe. Hard driving, fierce competition and tough champions. From touring cars to rally riders. Top Gear Motorsports returns with a review of the track season and reports on upcoming events. Friday 27th October on BBC Two.